Right?
Okay, my name is Greg. My name is Greg Givens, and I am a citizen reporter for LOOXCIE Corporation. And right now, I have the honor of meeting Dr. Hill's mother. I have to say, it's like meeting one of the historical people of our time,
Yes.
because
Yes.
she was a fighter that I hear about, and I get actually a chance to meet a person who actually fought for her sons and my rights. In the and I'm trying to keep it cool, trying to keep myself cool, and not sit here and start crying or nothing like that. But without what she did, made it possible for her son and myself to go to school and to actually survive in this world that we have right here. I am going to go for a close up here, and please, is it Mrs.
Hill.
Mrs. Hill? Okay. Okay. If this doesn't work, I will do something else, because I am not messing this up.
You're okay, great.
No. I'm sorry, man. When he told me, I mean, because we talked and everything else, and I'm going like,
I totally forgot to tell you that she was going to be here today. I forgot.
oh man, I
Totally forgot.
how's this and when. Okay.
And then it's the 55, isn't it? What am I going?
Yeah.
55.
Okay, but there,
And what happened was that me and Dr. Hill were sitting there talking about everything, because we actually come from similar backgrounds. I was a single raised up single parent. I went to a public school. My parents, I came home one day and I couldn't add 5 plus 5, and I was in the 5th grade. And so my mother called my father and said, he's going to private school right now, and so you will get this tuition money together and get his butt in private school, because he's not learning anything, and he's not going to learn something now going to a private school. And then we both did mistake. We joined the Marine Corps also, so we have a lot in common. But when he told me when he told me all the stuff, you were in the Orange Curtain and actually had to work in the Orange Curtain. And now they're even trying to separate the Orange Curtain now, the East and West now, because they're trying to make it say like only the bad stuff happens in the East side of Orange County, or the bad side of West Orange County is a joke now. But it is a pleasure and a deep honor to meet you, ma'am. If you would not mind, if you mind telling me a little bit about yourself, please?
Well, I was born in New York City. I came out here after I graduated from high school in 1952. And I've been here ever since. I did my upper education from junior college, Santa Ana Junior College in Orange County in Santa Ana. And I finished for my BA from Pepperdine University, UCLA, LA State. Well, that's California, Cal State Los Angeles.
Yeah,
They've changed the name now. And got my job at Santa Ana Unified School District in 1962.
Oh my God.
At the same time my first child was born. And I've been there ever since. I retired in 1996. Same district.
Wow. So I don't see too many battle scars on you, but I know the emotional. It's very emotional for me to think that a black woman could actually survive what you've been through, and it's amazing that you put out such good children and even in that surrounding and everything else like that. So if you wouldn't mind, tell me a little bit about getting your job and working in the Santa Ana School District.
Getting my job in Santa Ana, my purpose for wanting to work in Santa Ana was to give back to a community that gave me an education, because I paid for my own education. I didn't have any relatives to put me through. I didn't have relatives because I was born an orphan. And so I was taken in by a family. That's how I ended up out here. So I worked my way through. I didn't get grants. I didn't get loans or anything of that nature. I worked 2 or 3 jobs all the way through school. I got 1 scholarship. When I got in Orange County, there were no scholarships for black students. There were only 5 black students in the Santa Ana Unified School District and no teachers. So the parents of the 5 students got together and raised money to give us our first scholarship when I graduated from Santa Ana College. We got $1,000. Mine went to UCLA. And as you know, that just about took me for 1 year, and that was it. So then I started working, and the reason I went to many different colleges is because I would work 1 semester and then take off sometimes and have to work for a whole year before I could go back into my program. And when I became a teacher, no, they did not roll out a red carpet for me. They didn't want any black educators in this district, and told me so. My first.
They actually, they do it in legalese now, telling us no. So they actually just said we don't want any black teachers. They actually said.
The superintendent told me as long as I'm superintendent, we will never hire a black teacher in this district. That's the kind of no I got.
Okay.
And we didn't have a black community behind us because, as I said, there were only about 5 to 10 families in the whole city of Santa Ana. And so what happened was I went through the teachers union to make them hire me because I had fulfilled every requirement that they wanted for a teacher. I had done with excellence, outstanding records, and so they had to hire me, and sure enough, he left the district after they hired me. So after that, they started doing their little games to run me out of the district. And present.
Can you describe any of those little games that we're from the Marine Corps. We know what these games could be like.
Well,
so, but what type of games were they playing with you to try to get you to quit? Like for me, they did $5,000 worth of damage to my car 3 years ago. They shot up my car and everything else to try to get me to move out of my neighborhood because I'm the only black person in my neighborhood. So, what type of things happened to you? That they were, was it physical? Was it more emotional? Was it more, what was it like?
they didn't touch me physically, but they destroyed me emotionally and socially and economically because they defaced my property. They ran us out of our first home, my son and I, my youngest son and I. It got to the point where I had to leave because the police department there was infiltrated by the Ku Klux Klan and the John Birch Society. When all the other little gimmicks, which I can tell you some of them didn't work, didn't run me out, then I got the physical threats. Enough and serious enough that I thought I would be harmed or my child would be harmed. So we packed up and left at that point. But by that time, they started out robbing my house every Black History Month. I would get robbed.
Oh, so it is throughout this whole entire area that Black History Month seems to be the time of seeking out blacks, and because it is here in this community also. I'm from Hemet Unified School District, and that's when when I was called a nigger for the first. The 3rd or 4th time there also, and most of the defacing, most of the stuff to try to get a rise out of me because I am like your son. I am a Marine, and so we got two switches on and off. So it's not the switch that switch on to say that I'm going to go out and hurt someone, but I have made that decision in my mind that if you hurt my family, then like he said, by all means, like said, by all means necessary, I will take my wrath upon you, and you will feel my wrath, and so it's still going around because when information I found about Orange County is one of the highest rated, where most of the hate music comes out from is from Orange County. Most of the hate music is out there, and they had a big thing about giving out DVDs to all the students with all these hateful songs and everything else on it, so the kids can listen to. And all these groups are based out of Orange County and everything else, and as you were saying again, they went after your family, and that's always a tough thing. That when I told them I would take the center mass 3 shots from the police officer. I'm willing to die. I'm still ready to die for my family. But once you mess with my family, you have gone too far. And again, you have been through a whole lot. And you were saying that when they attacked your family, started going after your family, you felt it was necessary to move, but you still were going to teach there anyway.
Yes.
And I guess that didn't go too well with them because they thought they had you.
Oh yeah, because I didn't make the move they wanted me to move, which was to get out of their school district.
Mm-hmm.
We left our home, but it was empty by that time because they had taken everything I worked for was gone.
Mm.
All the furniture, everything. It was bare.
Mm-hmm.
They went from robbing us once a month to robbing us once a week at that point.
Wow.
Do you remember that, Rob?
Oh, yeah.
I'd go home from school with my 2 children on my hand, one on each hand, and by the time I got to my door...
This is Dr. Hill over here.
Okay.
I had to make sure I didn't want to make sure when she's pointing to that's the first person I talked to
Right.
before, and this is his mother, Mrs. Hill.
There was extreme vandalism, hate speech. At one time, I was real young. I think they wrote up on I think that bedroom this was your bedroom.
You're absolutely
Your
right.
bedroom. They wrote "niggers go home." I think.
No, they just wrote
Niggers.
they wrote nigger on that whole wall,
Okay.
that whole side
Yeah.
wall, and in big bold black letters. And
Yeah.
my son that was
Had to
starting
get it on.
kindergarten, you were going preschool.
Right.
You were younger than he was. He was getting ready to start kindergarten, and we had just moved in that weekend. That Monday he was going to kindergarten, and he went outside in the morning to look at the house.
Mm-hmm.
And just before he went to kindergarten, he ran back in and he said, Mommy, somebody painted on our wall a nice sign. And I went out to see the
It's your
sign,
uncle.
and it said nigger. So he had his lesson about that word and what that meant right then and there before he went to kindergarten. We were the only blacks in the neighborhood, which didn't help at all, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And so the thing that when the police came, I was so frustrated. I said, at least they could have spelled it the right way.
Yeah.
And the
G.
police officer said, well, that's the Polish spelling. I said, and that makes it right? That makes it all right?
So I guess you have police officers still there, as they still do now, who do not want to do their job.
Oh, no.
They don't want to do their job now, and they didn't want to do their job then. And that is when it says protect and serve, and it doesn't say protect and serve, but us X'd out saying don't anybody who's black or of color, you don't have to protect or serve them.
Well, the police were behind the movement in
Oh, yeah.
when I was working.
Wow.
They were in my track home establishment. I
Wow.
didn't find that out until we made the final move to get out of there, because one older man, as we were loading. You remember that man
Bob?
walking? No, you remember when you were loading up the truck? We were just getting ready to pull off, and I was standing there waiting for this man walking toward me, a white man. Remember? I didn't know him, but I had a feeling. I had that gut feeling that he was looking for me. You know, and so I stayed there. I sent you in the house because I thought this man might have a gun, might be getting ready to shoot somebody. So I sent you in the house for a last. I said check the house again before we leave because I saw him coming and he was coming across the street headed for me. And when he came there, he said, Miss Hill, I came to apologize to you. He said, I know all the things that happened. I was so scared I didn't ask for his name or anything like that. I thought he was going to kill me. But he said, I wanted to do something to help you and your sons. He said, but the police department was behind it, and they're centered right down the street from you, the John Birch Society. He said, and that prevented it, but I was afraid, you know, that they would retaliate and harm me because I am an older person, you know. And he said, but I see that you're leaving, and I just had it on my heart to come and apologize for what happened to you. And I was relieved. I thanked him and left because I thought, sure, this man is coming for me, he's gunning for me, and I can feel it, you know.
And I want to speak to that a little bit about, you know, the tenets of psychological oppression. I had the opportunity to study with one of my mentors, who I feel is one of the smartest men that I have had come across in my lifetime. And my dissertation was more about psychology than it was education. And we talked about psychological oppression and human development. And one thing he pounded into me, and that's Dr. Thomas A. Parham. He's a great man. He's the chancellor at UCI. But the one thing he pounded, he made me rewrite my whole dissertation, by the way. But he pounded into me that you can't you cannot take away the traumatic outcomes of psychological oppression on development in terms of psychology. There's a lot of times, and he's much more into black psychology than as opposed to Eurocentric psychology. He's most definitely more an advocate of Afrocentric education as opposed to Eurocentric education. And what that means is that we can't go to white psychological books or white psychologists to understand the trauma associated with oppression. And the development is not normal. We're not going to develop normal. I'm going to give you a small example of this. We talked about, you know, how, you know, she's in fear. Now, this is probably one of the strongest women I've ever met in my entire life, including my grandma. I've had great female role models in my life.
Yeah, which we had talked about, which
Right.
we talked about it again. But
Phenomenal female role models, going back 2 or 3 generations. But the oppression component is that because she has to live her life on defense, because she was an activist, just the fear of saying, this guy may have a gun because of people breaking into your house, throwing things through your window at your classroom, destroying your car. That also, we also felt that too within the school systems. And there are books coming out. I don't even have time to go into that part, but that's part of the oppression. One time I came home because we were taught at a young age to handle our business. I mean, I probably couldn't be more than 5 or 6, where I knew how to clean, I knew how to sew, I knew to stay away from strangers. If you touch me inappropriately, I'm going to kick you, hit you, scratch you. You're not going to get me. Okay, that ain't going to happen. So she trusted us to go home, do our homework, get the house in order, okay, and have everything ready, because more than likely she's probably working one job where she comes home at 3 o'clock and then have it go straight to another job to clean up buildings, to put us through private school. Okay, that's the sacrifice. And so when I think about, just the other day, just last week, my house got broken into. Broke my window, stole my computer. Not a big deal. Money, I'm the last thing to worry about money. But do you know where it took me back instantly? Usually I was always the first one in the door when we got robbed. We got robbed at least 10 times. One time the guy was still there. Okay? He was still there. I'm like, oh, okay, whatever. He used to go ahead and take what you need, you know. And so I went over, got outside, went to the neighbor's house, and called the police, and mom came here. But when I saw my window, it was not about somebody taking something. You violated me, and it took me instantly to that childhood that somebody else was taking our things. Somebody else had been at our house. All the hard work my mom had done. One time, we had cooked chicken. We went up to Riverside, went to go visit some relatives, and we had first time in a while, we had a freezer full of meat. She probably paid, probably the whole salary to get it. Came home, not only did it took all the meat and all our toys and everything else, they had the audacity to eat the cooked chicken. So when she has fear or paranoia or whatever you want to call it, it's basically PTSD.
Yes, sir.
It's basically PTSD.
Yes.
We don't know.
By definition of the PSV 5,
Yeah.
It's that exactly what you're talking about.
And when you experience that, and you're always going to be watching your back because you don't know. And we ain't changed. Society ain't changed that much.
No.
It ain't changed that much.
No.
This is only talking about 40-some years ago.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? So, yeah, we are on a state of alert all the time. And it probably could have been some kids that just came into my house. But it instantly took me back to a place mentally. And that's the psychological oppression. I can't trust everybody. It doesn't leave. It scars you for life. But what I do need to tell people, you need to rise up and overcome it. Mm-hmm. You can acknowledge it, but if you allow it to defeat you, then depression wins. But the conversation is for white America. There's a reason why black males are angry. Okay? We have to go through that. Your sons or daughters don't have to get spread over a hood of a car, and you've already got degrees. Mm-hmm. You don't have to be followed in 7-Eleven like that. When it happens when you're young, that's oppression. Right. That changes and alters your development. So your books on little white kids that don't have to do this do not apply to us. Mm-hmm. We don't go through the development process in the same manner that you do because of oppression. That is what she had to go through.
Now, at the same time, I was working full-time job teaching and working part-time jobs cleaning buildings. After that 8-hour job, many times after the part-time job that I got back to them and put them to bed, and tried to give them some family time, I had to go down to the district office to fight for laws and look up the laws that would protect me against the things that they were doing, because many times, at least, every week I had to go into a kangaroo court to defend myself. So while other teachers were going home and enjoying their families, I was fighting the law, using the law to protect my contract in that district, and going into what a kangaroo court. I don't know if you know what a kangaroo court is.
No, we're both from Marine Corps. We know what a kangaroo court is.
All right, I was going through a kangaroo court at least 2 or 3 times a month. Plus the fact that they were changing my assignment. They started rotating me from one school, transferring me, involuntary transfers from one school to another. That didn't work. But it worked on me emotionally now, but they didn't know that. Mm-hmm. They just wanted me to run and lead the district. When that didn't work, it escalated to every year for the past 10 years, no, more than 10 years, about 10 96. Years of my career. Mm-hmm. No, because 96, they had finally put me in a stationary position.
96?
I retired.
Yeah.
I retired.
Okay.
But prior to that, I would say at least 10 years, I was at that school. That was my stationary school, because prior to that, they changed my grade level every year.
make sure to try to keep you off balance. That you would have to rewrite
No
your
comfort zone.
rewrite your whole curriculum.
I had to rewrite
it
everything every year.
year.
Plus maintain, at that time we had evaluations and every one of mine were outstanding. So I was an overachiever all that time. Had to be.
Wow.
And that leaves a scar. Plus the fact that when I didn't leave the district, I was called into the office by all the big chiefs, you know, board of education, all of them.
Mm-hmm.
And I was told at that particular time, when they met me, it was right after I got my master's, that from Pepperdine, that I would never, ever get a promotion in that district. So I might as well leave. That was called blackball.
Mm-hmm.
And it stayed in effect until I retired in 1996.
Well, I have to disagree with you. It's called something else now,
Oh,
but it's
okay.
it's called something else now.
Okay.
But it's still
Principle?
same principle. Same principle.
So what do they call it now? I call it racism.
You can call it racism, but for some strange reason, you may be overqualified for the job that we're looking for, or there's something in your record that may be detrimental to our quality of standards or something like that. And use
covert.
Yeah.
It's covert.
Yeah,
It's you know.
But I'm saying when you say it ended, no, it actually really it had. All they do is change the name to something else. And again, it's. I'm glad. I am so happy to see that you're still alive, and kicking and still out there. And you know, it's bringing tears to my eyes actually to meet a legend, and to see what he was talking about. We had just talked sometime last week, and how proud how proud he was of you, of what you had to do, and everything else. And it is an honor for me to meet the person that he was talking about, because he spoke very highly of you, and you were his light at the end of the rainbow that kept him strong, so he can go do what he had to do and take care of what he had to do. And I just want to thank you from being a black man and what you had to go through, and the kids that you saved, and the kids that you now have grown up and everything else. I'm sorry.
It's okay.
It's all right.
That you have what you have done. I mean, I didn't get a chance to meet Martin. I didn't get a chance to meet Malcolm X, but I have met Mrs. Hill, a legend, and that's the way I'm looking at it, and that's the way I want these people, when they see this video, to see that, you know, it's. You're not on TV every day like Reggie and then the rest of them, all the rest of that crap. But you are the everyday person, and what you had to go through. And you know, I know I can't say it, but I would sue the living hell out of them, you know, for $15 trillion if possible, for the stuff that you went through. But to put the face to the words that he talked about you, and to know what you accomplished and what you've done for us, and now I get to show this video to my son, and showing a legend. This is the reason why I talk about you have to learn from your elders. This is the reason why I fight for every chance, everything you get, because people like you had to put up with so much of this BS and bullshit back then. I don't want to let you down, because you have made us strive an area, and I don't want it to be lost again. It's not because these kids have an attention span of this, and I don't want them to forget why we must learn from our past. You are that past that we must learn from, and from that it makes us stronger. And I just want to say thank you. I don't want to keep up any more of your time. But if I can ask you just one more question, please, if you would, if since you were going through stuff that me and him went through in combat, what could you say to this new generation? What would you say to them if you had anything you wanted to say? And again, we're going to my website. Hopefully, this will get picked up to the LOOXCIE website, which has now hit 317,000 people have already hit it already. And I'm going to push this one. I'm going to put my actual thing on it. I want this on the LOOXCIE website because I had a chance to meet a legend. Okay, because this is what one of the missing what things are missing when you don't have a chance to actually meet and talk to them. You know, we didn't have the kind of communication we're having right now, that the oratorial video type of thing, and I want this to be archived, and I'm going to put my title. I'm going to put I want this on the website because you're talking about a legend because of what this person had to do, what this person had to overcome to do, and what she accomplished. And she has great sons and has done so much for Black America. It is such an honor. But I just wanted to know, and for people of color, if you had anything else to say out there to the millions of people that hopefully will get a chance to look at this, what would you have to say?
My concern for our people is that we have to come out of our denial of our history and what has happened to us in the past, because we can't give direction to our future generations when they have lost that history. They don't know the history anymore.
Correct.
They don't know that African Americans have a problem in this United States, Orange County, California anymore. It's not being taught.
Mm-hmm.
It's not being taught in the home. It's not being taught in the community, and especially not in your schools. And I believe that in knowing your history, you can rise over the problems of the past, because you have to know them so you don't make those same mistakes in your future. I sit up in an African American church right now where the whole congregation is in denial of any problems that the first African American educator might have had in their school district. And this hurts all of us. It hurts the movement. You need to be aware that racism is still alive and thriving.
It did not die with the election of the African American president. It's still here and it's still thriving.
Well, he's not African American. He's Muslim. That's a direct. Direct sign that absolutely, I would argue and contend that it's gotten worse because he's the president.
I would think so, yes, and it has. But again, Mrs. Hill, I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart for what you've done, the sacrifices that you made, and as me and Dr. Hill will become more involved in everything else and working together to try to get what we have talked about before and everything else like that. It was a pleasure, and it is a deep honor that I had a chance to meet you. Thank you again for what you've done.
Great.
It's my pleasure. Thank you.